As we looked at e-sign, say if we look at the storage industry, it hasn't changed a whole lot in a lot of years. It's still three walls in the door, and you've seen companies start taking action to cast their net wider to capture that tenant base.
Can you tell us a little bit about the decision process first on how you chose to go with our sign for your e-signature solution?
Sure. I mean, obviously there are various providers out there, and there's a lot of things that came into our decision making. And I'll kind of put them in silos here. The first one is the experience. What is our customer going to face when they are trying to transact with us? And is that experience, regardless if it's through whatever channel the customer want to interact in, is it a seamless experience? Is it very consistent in how they navigate through that transaction? So primarily that was the first one, because you don't want to have a great front end experience or great in-store experience, and then all of a sudden the technology becomes a major hurdle, where you start getting dropout rates or fallout rates because it is such a complicated way to maneuver through. So it has to be very easy, keep it down to the simplest terms. The second piece is we have multiple systems. Part of our unique structure is we are pros, and even our in-house brands, we have the ability to use whatever systems tools we want. And when you have that, you are going to get some variance. And so we needed a product that also could satisfy multiple property management systems or approaches to how they want to conduct that transaction. And then lastly, obviously cost. As you get bigger in an organization, you're looking for efficiencies in all shapes and forms, and something's also got to be reasonable price. And as we're evaluating these things, that cost becomes even more prevalent if you're not seeing a dynamic difference in the experience or technical hurdles. And so you're weighing all those components as we're moving forward. And then I'd say, lastly, I'll add one more on that, is the partnership. We're a dynamic organization. We have a lot of moving parts. And part of those moving parts is us being able to pivot pretty quickly from what we're seeing, what our partnerships are with all of our brands that operate underneath the NSA banner. And we need a company that can pivot with us quickly. And that's another thing that we really appreciate is, look, it's all about bottom dollar. It's about holistically, can we check all those boxes, and do we have someone that can see the future how we see it, or can help us find a common path with technology to satisfy not just our business but our customers' demands and needs. So we've been very happy with our partnership with RPost and our sign, and we look forward to continuing that partnership here in the future as we're tackling a very important part of the business that's become a lot more important here probably over the last 7-8 months. It was just easier. It was an integrated product already, and it allowed us to execute on that pretty quickly, where we knew on a different type of property management system, we had a lot more integration to do. And it wasn't just tied to the e-sign, but some of the external factors like online lease and components that we were working through other partners with and developing. So it hasn't been just RPost and our sign, but also other technology vendors have been involved in this. So that's why coordination and partnership is so important for us, because there are a lot of hands in the cookie jar in projects like this, and want to make sure everybody's moving it in the same direction, on the same path. What we have learned from 2020 is storage is resilient. Again, people don't drive by storage facilities going, that looks awesome, I want to get some of that. It's a very need-driven product, and need is going to still occur. Whether it's economic booms or economic contractions, people are going to go through some sort of change in their life, and that usually drives the need for storage. And so while I think every business out there saw, unless you were Amazon, saw a contraction or at least a compression in business, especially on the front end of the pandemic, and that was more related to whether it was health concerns or just the governmental and municipality restrictions, that the demand's still there. What does it mean for the future? I guess there's still a lot of unknowns, from the stimulus packages or moratoriums on evictions, things like that. Will that continue to provide some protections for people significantly impact our business or maybe even no impact to our business. I can tell you that people are still renting storage units, don't see that going away anytime soon. And so we're cautiously optimistic, not knowing what next year holds for us and what the pandemic's going to bring, and in turn, what does that do to the way we operate and the economy.